Welcome, 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 welcome to Liberal 12th Man Show. I'm the Liberal 12th Man, and we're going to be firing up the Library Bird as always to fly high and enjoy some Twitter takes, basically. It's like basically what we're going to do is take a look at some of these on X or Twitter, as it's formerly known as. Some hot topics, some trending topics, just some topics that caught my eye. Uh, Mostly all about Liverpool, but some about other teams, other players in the league. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys joining me today. Should be fun. Like to hear your comments and takes as well on some of these takes on X. Big up to John Conway. I see you, brother. But yeah, I wanted to definitely get this going. I got Brian, co-pilot with me, and I got JK in the house as well. How you doing, Brian?
All good. Good evening. Good evening.
Very good, very good. And I got JK in the house as well. How you doing?
I'm good, bro. Hope you guys too on the chat as well.
Definitely, definitely so. We are definitely going to be looking at some of these things that I saw on Twitter that have got the Twitterverse in a roar somewhat. Um, I know that you guys all are, dealing with the fallout from the weekend. I know I am. I'm hoping and thinking that maybe that a lot of you guys are here because it is a good place. It's definitely a safe place, to be, so that you don't have to hear a lot of the dumb. I call it dumb takes or dumb, or just I don't know, pointless. Let's not call them dumb. I guess we call them pointless. You know, um, Alarm and alert and how the doom and gloomers and all that stuff. No need for all that crap. Um, but let's just rock and roll this from the very beginning and get this started with the Twitter takes. I know you guys saw most of you saw the interview afterwards, and this is what has got the Twitterverse in a roar a little bit. And I'll bring this up right here. Basically, Jurgen Klopp stormed out of a post-match interview after being questioned about Liverpool's intensity during extra time versus Manchester United. His response to the reporter was, "You're obviously not in great shape, and I have no nerves for you." What was big about this, or what was so funny about this to me, was that Jurgen's hold on the English translations that he uses sometimes aren't the greatest when it comes to what he's trying to say. Let's just say it that way, okay? And what's unique about this is that he was basically trying to say you're in no state of mind to kind of like question me, like as in question like our fitness or to question the intensity that we had. Like as in this team gives it all, basically what he was trying to say. And he was just like done with it. He'd already answered the question once, and the reporter doubled down and tried to answer the question twice, and this same reporter was on the flight home. He was on the flight home with sitting next to Manchester United's forward, actually, which is kind of interesting that, so it was somewhat of a take that like, it's so crazy and so stupid to see. But what was your interpretation or your impression of this, Brian? Like when you heard this and you saw how Twitter was reacting, how did you respond?
Well, I was pretty. I heard about it before I saw it, which is always probably not the best way to do it. But it was the usual explosion. It was the usual. Oh, look what he's doing now. Look what he said now. And it's yeah. Look, I said the other night he got marked down for me because you shouldn't be really behaving like that, no matter what. Because this isn't the first time this guy's interviewed him. This isn't the first time he's been asked questions after a big game.
Mm-hmm.
They all I don't know, you name a top manager, they'll all have done exactly what he's doing now, especially after a big game. And he
Mm-hmm.
just whatever he it triggered him. But look, it doesn't look good. It is something it's not a new thing in any way. It's not a new thing. But for fans, it's all a load of, this is a lot of media noise. This is all great, for Sky Sports News and for Twitter. This is great. Like, even the journalist came out afterwards and said, like, look, I know him. I've interviewed him hundreds of times, from Germany across to England, everywhere. I know him. There's no problem. It'll be fine. It's grand. He said, I'm not, don't, like, people are kind of saying, oh, are you okay? Are you okay? He's like, it's fine. It's grand. There's absolutely nothing. It's happened. I'll interview him again in a week and it'll be cool. You see, he was, look, we just lost that game badly. I wouldn't have wanted to be sticking a microphone in his face
Yeah, I
after
know.
just
I
throwing
know.
away that game,
Yeah, I
but
know.
Exactly.
it doesn't look great for us. But at the same time, you guys are human, and I'm sure Klopp woke up the next day going, yeah, shouldn't have done it like that, shouldn't have reacted like that. But it's not like he punched anybody. Like, there was kind of people, oh, how they felt in danger because he was pushing people up against the wall, and
What?
yeah, totally blown out of proportion, because, like, they're in a tiny little space,
Hmm.
and they're
Mhm.
like, wasn't pushing people, but they were trying to get it out there, and it was very,
Mhm.
oh, I think he brushed against somebody, totally blowing it out of all proportion. But again,
The
like
big,
I
the
said,
big, the big thing too, Brian, real quick, is like, and I'd like to know, JK, and JK, you can jump in right after Brian finishes with this one, but like, the big take was that they were trying to like frame it that he was fat shaming him or weight shaming him, however you want to put it, or like, because he said you're in no shape, basically, and like, or and not in great shape. And he was they're trying to make it, they're trying to blow it out of proportion, like, guys, and that's how people were taking it. And I'm like, how many times do you hear someone says, I have no nerves for you? That's not a natural way of saying that I have no time for you, or I have
no,
no patience for you. Like, as in, sometimes, like, the way that he says things, like, as in, it might not necessarily translate well, but it's just the fact that people are actually trying to frame it as if he was like, he needs to apologize because he was fat shaming him. That's how they put it. And I heard one Arsenal guy on the 90-minute take with the show of, like, there's like Grizz and some of those other guys that represent, saying how disrespectful the Arsenal guy was, like, the Klopp was disrespectful, and he's, it's a disgrace and all this other crap that he was trying to spout out. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, how many coaches do you show me a coach that's like, a good loser? I'll show you a loser. That's how I see it. Like, as in, he has to have some decorum, but I mean, like, the guy just lost. He's not going to be happy. Just plain and simple. But
in terms of the language used, it's always been obviously an issue for Klopp to get things completely right first time in English,
mhm,
especially when when he's in German, like, he wants to use a German phrase. The phrase that's in his head will be some German phrase that will make
yeah,
perfect sense, and he'll
yeah,
be just kind of fumbling to try and find some English way of saying it, because he
yeah,
doesn't know English phrases. He
right,
doesn't know the kind of quick phraseology that an English person might use, or the kind of way an English person might say it. He's trying to translate the German phrase in his head. So I
right.
think the second half saying, I have no nerves for you, I think that's just him saying, getting, I don't have any time for this, and you're getting on my nerves. He's getting those
Exactly.
two things mixed up.
Yeah,
Now, when
yeah.
he says you are obviously not in great shape, I'm not sure what he meant by that, because that to me doesn't sound like something that's like, it's not one of those, oh, I know what he's trying to say there. He's just got the words the wrong way around. But you're obviously not in great shape. It, I don't know why he said it that way. But I don't want to dig too deep into it. But I don't think he was saying, you could. I think he might have been saying, like, it's 120 minutes. Yeah, are you?
Hmm.
Who are you to criticize if my player's not been able to, do it 100% for 120 minutes? Because he
Hmm.
said that. He said stuff like that to reporters before. You
Exactly.
know.
Exactly.
So, but I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think, JK?
I believe, bro, that it was a quarter final. We just lost it, and the last thing you want to really do is go with a mic to Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp. They're not really when they lose. They're not really happy guys, you know.
Mhm.
But you've got to also understand this, bro. Klopp's been in England for about 9 years, and the amount of questions and press conferences I've heard. And I'm thinking, you've got a question to ask Jurgen Klopp, and you're asking that dumb question. You know, it's like, come on, you went to university to study journalism, and the stupidest question you ask is it's like unbelievable. And Klopp has probably lost patience with it now. You got to understand that Klopp's a German. He's gone to England, and he's been really sort of successful. Could have been
Mhm.
more, of course, but he's been sort of successful, and he's a big name, and but he's a German, so the majority of English fans ain't really gonna like him. You know, as I said last week, that Klopp's the type of guy. Even if you didn't know who you are, and you say, "Oh, can you give me a quick hand?" He'll give you a hand. I think football fans sometimes mistake. Like, I don't mind Chelsea's manager, Pochettino. He's never done my head
Mhm.
in. He's just got that sort of personality where I don't care which team he's manager of, he never winds me up. If you understand my point. And I think
Mhm.
sometimes some fans they add a bit of salt and pepper to like this story here. These guys obviously know each other, and maybe Klopp could have probably said it better, but I just believe that's just the passion and the anger of losing that game against United. Wrong
Yeah.
timing, wrong place.
I
Yeah,
think it's
We
maybe
all have
because he
bad
does
days.
know
Yeah.
the guy. Like
MK
maybe
too.
it's
Definitely.
because maybe because it is because he does know this guy. That he actually
yeah,
is like,
yeah,
like
yeah.
if JK came up to me on a bad day, and I'd be like, oh, JK, don't be asking me that crap. Come on, what are you on about, man? Whereas if someone
Hmm.
I didn't know, I wouldn't. I'd feel like I could tell, oh, come on, JK, don't be wasting my time. Come on.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
maybe it's because he knows that guy that he felt like, oh, come on, man, what are you doing, waste
Yeah.
my time? Nonsense. Because
Mhm.
your man is smiling the whole time. And again, like what I would say about the questions that these boys ask when they're like you say in those press conferences and you hear them asking these awful questions, that really is like these guys have a job to do and they're getting paid. That to me says more about the people that read the publication that they work for than the journalists, because
Mhm.
that's the kind of stuff his readers want, is to read. It's like don't go asking Klopp any difficult questions about tactics or anything like that, because our readers aren't interested in that. Go and ask him these stupid dumb questions.
That's
That's all we
true.
want from
That's true.
that's all
Yeah.
we need from you. It's not an essay on anything intricate. It's just like, oh, who's fit? Oh, are you feeling good? Are you how special was it to beat X team? That's all they want to
Mhm.
hear, is those kind of dumb inane questions.
Yeah.
So that,
You
Yeah.
see,
I,
Pierce.
I
Klopp
saw
don't
that
really
the
even talk to Pierce no more, really,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because of the dumb questions Pierce has asked him over the years. He's like, come
Yeah.
on, man. They act like Jurgen Klopp's like a 5-year-old kid in a kindergarten. The guy's a successful football manager, Ask him a question that's going to trigger his mind. Something's interesting, They ask him these dull questions. I can't even understand, you
I
know.
have a the speaking of this game, I guess, let's particularly speak on something that, again, it wasn't necessarily the fact that again, this is not a blight on or trying to say, oh, the refs cost us the game or any of that crap. It's not that at all. I just have a real honest question though, and a take as to on this certain individual. Um, on a yellow card, yes, on a yellow card in that game, Bruno Fernandez flew recklessly into a challenge with Dominic Szoboszlai when the score was 2-1 to Liverpool, a tackle that in most cases in the modern game, okay, you would naturally see a player get a caution for a yellow card. But despite awarding the foul, referee John Brooks decided against giving Fernandez a second yellow and sending him obviously out with a red card, because he already had a yellow card on there on the books. What was kind of interesting about this is that it made me think of like, has like Bruno Fernandez been able, like, I don't know if he's got something on, got some dirt on some of these referees, or maybe he's got some type of connection, or maybe the armband for United has a different gravitas, I guess, than with referees than actually it does with like a Liverpool armband, because I started looking up and I'm like, this, I don't think Bruno's ever had a red card, and he hasn't. He's had 32 yellow cards, but he had 0 red cards, 163 fouls, but out of those 163, he got 32 yellow cards, but 0 red cards. It just makes me go like, I've seen this guy push. I've seen him push sideline officials, or like I've seen him demonstratively argue in front of, like, show real dissent in front of referees, sometimes not even for calls on him, sometimes for calls against his own players. Okay, I've seen him do different little, make really, really rash tackles, go into some really bad challenges, yet he avoids being sent off. What is it about this guy that he can avoid being sent off? Is it I'm not trying to say it's a conspiracy per se, but it's very interesting.
It's
Brian,
United badge, bro.
JK, go ahead. Go ahead, JK.
Yeah, just in the old days, in Fergie's times, the amount of decisions they used to go their way was unbelievable, and has sort of carried on. We've not really noticed it because they've not been successful with them decisions made. They've just got by, they're not been in like big games where they've got to win the Premier League or something, or a Champions League. It's just games that keeps them up in the top 4s. That's why people haven't really noticed it, how much times they get away with stuff. So Fernandez, he's a bit of a sort of dirty sort of player. He knows what he's doing half the time, and he maybe should have seen a red card. Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
He knows what.
And on top of that, there's some good points. Keep It Real says, did you notice Joe Gomez got a yellow for a high boot in that game? He did. He absolutely did, get for a challenge that was, I'm cool with Joey getting with a yellow, but if Joey's going to get a yellow, I don't understand why he avoids it. And then it gets to this murky situation where I get that, referees utilize their own discretion. They also take that discretion to a new height with the way that they say sometimes you won't see, for instance, cards early in the game, for instance, because they want teams to kind of get like the flow of things going on normally. Or the fact that he was already on a yellow card, and despite the fact that it was a cardable offense, the referee chose to say, you know what, I'm not going to allow for this yellow card offense be the foul that takes him out. But yet, like, I do remember a certain Spurs matchup where Diego got into a challenge where he didn't even make touch. I think he didn't make contact with the player, and he got another yellow card. Interesting, huh? That's my point of why, like, there's no consistency in these referees. That's the most frustrating part about it. There's no consistency from it.
Yeah, the consistency cheating.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. And I mean, like, and this is what I mean by no consistency too. There was this little take here that was like, yeah, League Cup, we scored twice. That's what I was going to bring up, Tustin, because there is this little take here, which is very interesting. Basically, I'll make it a little bigger for you there. Ake, who is offsides, blocking McAllister from getting to the near post. Why isn't this being called offside, similar to Endo against Chelsea? All we're saying is, if you're going to call things, cool. Let me know how you're going to call them, so I know how I can know what to expect, and we have a bar set. But yet, this goal was allowed for Chelsea, or excuse me, for City. Okay, yet you can obviously see that that Ake is offsides and interfering and blocking, literally blocking, as opposed to Endo. Endo was just standing there. Endo's Endo's
It's a
can have the space, but like
the lads are pointing it out in the chat. That's a corner.
It's a corner,
and I
bro.
get that. No, I get that's a corner. I'm not saying
No,
that
you
he's
can't be
when I say
offside from a
offsides,
corner.
but
No, you can't be offside from a corner.
okay, Brian. What the point of what it says that it's not necessarily offsides. It's the call for this is more so like interference. I'm trying to make the reference of the interference that was called on it. This is being referenced as offsides. That's because a lot of people, that's their interpretation of the rule, and that's the easiest way for a lot of people, especially on Twitter, to say, oh, he's offsides. But
no, they're getting it wrong when they're saying Ake who is offside. They're not framing it. They're getting it wrong. He's not offside. If they want to say he's interfering or something like that, that's fine. But he's not offside. You can't be offside.
Okay. So he's interfering. Okay.
He's not.
Okay.
I don't agree with that.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I'm just trying to get the point is that
not the rule. There's no rule.
On throw-ins and on corner kicks, there are no offsides. But what I'm trying to get across is that like he's interfering, okay, with the play, with the corner, with the man that's trying to get in front of him. Okay, he's interfering with him, and that's what I'm trying to make the comparison or the between the call between Endo and this call not being called. They're pretty much the same call. They're pretty much the same play. That's the point.
Endo was offside and he interfered. He's not offside. So no, they are fundamentally different. But
okay, I didn't think that Endo was offside.
No, he was called offside. That's what he meant. He's offside, and as soon as you're offside, you can't get involved in play. Endo wasn't penalised for interfering. He was penalised for getting involved from an offside position. So they are different. These are old calls. These are the ones I don't.
So the Endo ruling when he was on the corner kick, right?
No, it was a free kick.
Well, on the free kick.
It was a free kick, bro. Yeah.
I don't know. These are the ones. If you want to go, look the old ref decisions. There's plenty of other ones. These aren't ones that I. Yeah. I just think that he's saying he's offside. He's not offside. The guy's making a fool of himself, posting up Ake who is offside. He's not offside. So they need not the guy needs to be if he's going to be posting stuff actually like that. Everyone in chat immediately said you can't be offside from a corner.
You can't be offside, yeah.
So he needs, if you're going to call him.
But the point. All right, it's okay. I'm not trying to make defense of the post in saying the offsides. I get that he's technically not offsides because it was a corner kick, but But is he not actively trying to block the defender from trying to get into position?
McAllister was also pulling his shirt at the same time, bro.
That's
okay.
Yeah, that's why I didn't really make a song and dance about that situation because I realised
I happen to think it was interesting.
I just think McAllister was pulling it. If McAllister fell down, like the guy said, McTalk said in the chat, if he fell down, maybe he would have got something.
Maybe.
The game's done, guys. We're not getting the game. We're not getting the game or to go back. So
no, it's already gone. It's already gone. It's already gone. It's just more so with the. I think of differences between the consistency of calls in the league sometimes, but.
Well, no, you're not, man. Look, I read different forums every day, and most of them, there's 10 different people every single day saying all we want is consistency. All we want is consistency. It's there. It's there for every fan at every club every week. Seeing refs make calls for their clubs that were fouls the week before, it's there.
I did not say I'm not trying to say
it's a wide. Everyone is.
I didn't say it was Liverpool specific. I did not say that.
No. Everyone is feeling. What I'm saying is every fan out there feels. Every fan out there having to deal with it. Like it's the one thing that everyone just is sick to the back teeth of asking. Basically, is because it's been. You will watch one game every bloody week. You'll watch something and go, well, hang on. Last week that was this, and I just, I've given up hoping for it because
yeah,
these guys are incapable of delivering it. they're just not. You're just gonna get these stupid things every single week. Where I thought that was a foul last week, now it's not. These guys, man,
just like politicians, bro.
they'll break your heart, man. If you're relying on referees to get it right every single time, these guys will break your heart and they will ruin your weekend. They really will. So it's just like, we can't do without them. Can't have a game without them. So
I just feel that the Man City game, that
I'm not saying sorry. I'm
high
not saying
foot was more of a situation. I would say that was more than that Ake goal. I think that Ake goal for me, it's okay because McAllister was pulling his shirt, but the Doku high leg foot was a total different story. That one.
Yeah.
But
I don't know about the pulling the shirt thing, like as in, you know, I saw Diego get pulled down, his kid pulled down and tackled in the box, and it wasn't called a foul. But I understand there's a lot of hustle, there's a lot of grabbing and pulling in the in corners and free kicks and box and throw-ins that doesn't get called. You know, it only gets called, you know, if at all, whenever the at the discretion of the referee at times. But
and that's the players' fault. If the players stop pulling and dragging each other, then the referee wouldn't have to try and watch 11 different individual battles at every corner and spot every pull and every tug. If players
I get it. Normally you see referees come up and actually sometimes before the corner kick's even taken, sometimes he'll come up and say, "Hey, quit it, you know, cut it out," type thing, you know, like.
You know what I always, it reminds me of? Being the only kid or being the only parent at the children's birthday party when there's 15 of them out in the garden, and you see two of them misbehaving, and you go over and you tell the two of them to stop, and as soon as you turn your back on the rest of them, they start misbehaving. That's what players are like. As soon as the referees are looking, they kick and they pull and they drag. Players are most of the problem in this. They've told players, stop pulling and dragging in the box. They did it 3-4 years ago. Stop pulling and dragging in the box at corners because we're going to get a penalty for it. And the players are like, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, okay, cool. We'll stop doing that now, ref. Because they're like, you're ruining it. We can't watch all of you. You have to stop. Everyone's crying out for it. You can be seen doing it on camera afterwards. So stop doing it. They stopped doing it for about 2 days. And a ref gave one penalty. And then everyone kept doing it. And they were like, they're just going to keep doing it. Do you want us to call them? Or do you want us to let it go and only call the really bad stuff? Or do you want 47 penalties in every game? Players just ruined it, man. They were asked to stop doing it. And yeah, every player is going to pull and drag. It's like they must be even taught at this stage to do it. How to get away. Like
they're not going to make the calls. If they're not going to call it, then you might as well just do it.
Well, it's like not that they're not going to call it. Like that's not that. That's circular. It's like if we keep doing it, and there'll be so many of us doing it, they can't call all of it. It's not them saying, "Oh well, they won't call it." It's them saying, "No, there's too many of it." It's like everyone is misbehaving. They can't watch all of us. So it's the players taking advantage of the fact that the rest can't do it. I blame the players.
Base of Flowers misses, I think, is looking for
who is she like Gary Neville?
Looking for her man. So if anyone's seen Base of Flowers, please do alert.
Is there a Neville sister? Is she like one of the Nevilles or something?
Yeah, it's the sister.
Is she the sister of Gary and Phil?
Yeah, it looks like he's broken her heart. Oh, you know, Base of Flowers is a heartbreaker. You know, he's a man on the move. He's got things to do. This one was interesting primarily because of this weekend there were fans that were booing. They were actually booing Raheem Sterling, which is very interesting. That is sad to see. Very sad to see.
Who was booing him?
What's that?
Who was booing him?
The fans.
Chelsea fans, yeah.
Chelsea fans.
His own fans.
Yeah, their own
Chelsea.
fans, yeah.
Oh, right. I couldn't understand that. I was like, I couldn't get it. Who was booing it? Because
Yeah,
I said, well, we didn't play him, and they didn't just play City. So so okay, it was actual. Well, it's yeah, but now it makes sense.
yeah.
It's Chelsea.
And then that spurred this kind of question of whether he's overrated, if he's if he ever was a world class talent, or even if he is still in your mind a world class talent.
No.
So that was interesting. I mean, one, I don't know if I would ever like. I can understand your dislike for a player, especially if or not especially, but in circumstances of if he is your own team, if he's your own team's player. I don't know if I would boo my own team's player. You know, it's kind of like that whole concept of like, okay,
Depends what you do.
you might have a problem with your family, but you kind of keep that in house. You know, you don't necessarily like put that out there like that. I don't know about this. That was sad to see that they were booing. That was sad for like, and trust me, I am not a Raheem Sterling fan at all. Especially like I sometimes affectionately call him Benedict Sterling, in that like he's like in America Benedict Arnold style is like a traitor in America. So like, you know, Raheem Sterling, you know, chose different for him to choose City as his next destination, kind of like really hurt. Even though we hadn't really solidified our rivalry with them as of just yet, the way it is now, it still hurt that he was going to a club like a City that we would most likely have to compete with for titles. I don't know how you guys felt about that. I don't know how, like, I saw some of the chat. One of let's see, Dustin says he forgave him for now. He left because he was young. He didn't rate him, and 50 million was good for us. The Gomez battle finished it for me with this guy. Yeah, when Sterling and Gomez kind of went, you know, face to face, kind of like, you know, symbolized the fact of there's no love really for the club, despite when he was looking for a possible exit from City. There were times and points when he like hinted that he wanted to possibly he would be open to coming back to Liverpool, and I think that ship had long sailed. I don't know about you guys. How did you feel? What are your feelings about Sterling, and even about, you know, the reaction or not the reaction, but the reaction of the fans booing him?
Me, yeah, look, he is not overrated. Of course, he's not overrated. He was never given probably the credit that he deserved by any Liverpool fan, because the way he left, because all of that stuff with his agent, that guy that came out, started causing all the noise, saying, you know, blah 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 blah, giving interviews, getting him to give an interview, basically saying he wants to leave the club, all that kind of stuff. That was just a kid being badly advised. He was basically one of the most exciting talents in Europe when he came on for us. I remember the day he came on for us. I was hoping, praying he'd come on, because he was on the bench. And the talent that had been kind of, you know, talked about, and the bits and pieces you'd seen, and he came on. You know, he didn't immediately light up the world, but he was our, like, when he was our player, everybody loved him. So it was a lot of once a player leaves your club, I mean, fans' opinions of him change very quick. So to say he's overrated is real total nonsense, because Pep Guardiola refined him into like one of the best sort of attacking movement, finishing, you know, all of that in the Premier League off the left wing. He would just turn him into a goal machine, you know, and people made it sound like he just did this easy thing. Like Pep Guardiola could have picked anybody, you know. He was, yeah, he looked, and that's saying he wasn't even an amazing finisher, but look at the goals he scored. Look at how many goals he scored for City, just because Guardiola refined his game down. He was an amazing footballer, brilliant footballer. It was always a bad idea to go to Chelsea, but he started incredibly young. So he's only about 27 now, but he's got like a 10-year career on him at the top. You know, he's had a long career. So I would never have any real ill will towards him in terms of what he did, because he left to win trophies. He said, I'm leaving to win trophies," and he left and he won trophies. And it wasn't until a good time after he left that we started competing for trophies seriously again. So he was right in what he wanted to do. He's not, he's not a Liverpool kid. He's not a Scouser. He came up from London. He wasn't one of our own, as it were. So, we made a decision and off he went, and we got a huge price from him. The only reason people really hated it was because what it said about Liverpool. It's like Manchester City can now come and take your best players, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's what people really didn't like about it. When they looked deep down at it, that's what they didn't like. It wasn't Sterling. It was the fact that City could just come and take our best players.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and his own fans booing him. Yeah, they're Chelsea fans. You should never. I don't know if there's something has happened or something he's come out and said something behind the scenes, but oh god, getting a bit punchy there now. There's no need for that now, Tracy. Keep that for the the group chat. The Chelsea fans booing him. That's just total Chelsea fans, really.
Right.
That's just
Yep.
them in a nutshell.
Yep.
So if anyone was going to boo their own players, probably Chelsea fans. But I don't know what it's all about, really. But yeah, look, a kid who we all know, Chelsea is where you go when you still want to play at the top level, but you're kind of finished when you're a player like him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Speaking of overrated, there was a take on Twitter that had a certain it was by a commentator on a site called Off the Ball. Off the Ball has about around 164,000, close to 164,000 followers. And this was, I'm going to play the audio for you. This is an interesting. This is how this individual actually is looking at us.
Going to get pelters on the internet here.
I'm make sure
I'm
you
probably
hear
going to get pelters on the internet here. I don't think Liverpool are that good. I think that them and Tottenham are the two sides who I've watched this season, and I think every time all the times I've watched them, I think I don't know how you've got so many points, but I guess I sort of do know, and I do know because I think they've both got inspirational managers who are able to elevate players to perform above the level that they produce anyone else and achieve results that they wouldn't otherwise have got. So to look at Liverpool, because that's who we're talking about, I don't think they're anywhere near as good as City or Arsenal, but they've managed to find a way to win games such that you now look at the title race and think, well, actually, they've got the best running. And if Salah keeps scoring goals, they've got a really good chance of winning the league. And I'm probably going to get.
So this was the take that they had on Off the Ball. Do you think that we are more lucky than good, or are we actually good and and good with a little bit of luck? I guess you could say. Which do you have the feelings of, JK? Do you think that we're I know. That's a very good question on his take. Yeah, MK Toe. What's your take on what this journalist has to say on the site Off the Ball?
Yeah. Cop his head. More like like coming from England myself. They live in a aura of people can say anything they want without actually thinking about what they're actually saying. We have lost 5 games this season. We've lost 2 in the Europa League, in 2 games that didn't really mean anything. We've lost against United in the FA Cup and Tottenham and Arsenal in the league. So if that's not a very good team, I don't know what is, bro.
Yeah.
That's Listen, guys, I have to shoot, but I'll catch you later, yeah?
Yeah, sure, JK.
Take it, Brian.
All right, okay.
Brian's getting some it's not Valentine's Day, but he's getting some secret admirers on here. But but yeah, I don't know who the actual journalists other than that was a take that was on the airways. It kind of took me by surprise to see someone say something like that, considering that if you do look at our team from top to bottom, this, all healthy, obviously not taking in the injuries to account. To say that we're lucky more so than good, and to even put us in the same, I guess you could say, in the same grouping with Spurs is very, very interesting. How do you feel, Brian?
He must be an Arsenal fan, That's the only answer to it. I was trying to look at the screen there. I was trying to see who that guy is. I've never seen him before. He talks like a journalist. He kind of acts like a journalist, but he's also.
I mean, Alexander says it decently. He says negative views sells like some good stuff.
Like if that's off the ball, the Irish show. If that's the boys that were on.
Yeah, it is an Irish show. It is an Irish show. I went to the site. They do like they don't just do football. They do like, I've seen them do like rugby and everything. Yeah.
Well, they're massive. They're massive over here. They're a really big kind of sporting thing podcast. But they just started off on the radio. But he will have been just some idiot that was calling in as such, as he won't be part of the off the ball team. That's what I was trying to figure out who he is. Because he looked like one of those kind of low grade Andy Mittens. When they get English journals to call in to give their opinion for night, but he won't be one of the crew on off the ball. But he's definitely not.
He's not in good shape. He's not in good shape to answer that question. I think is basically what Dustin kind of said.
Yeah, we're in the same group as Spurs, and we're not as good as Arsenal. And he's got a London accent. I'm going to put 2 and 2 together there. He basically just described what happens when you hire a good manager. Like he literally just described. He's kind of like, oh yeah, it's sort of like, look, they're doing all right. They're doing all right, but they're only doing all right because they've got this guy who's really, really good, and they've got all these really, really kind of good people in charge, and they make all these good decisions, and you get a bit of luck, like, and they put this guy in, the only reason that they're getting a good result out of that team is because they got a brilliant manager. Like, well, yeah, that's usually how football works. The better the manager is, the better the results you get. It's not like it's lucky. It's like, were they lucky to have Arsene Wenger? Were they lucky to have Alex Ferguson? It's just like what he's trying to suggest is all those other players would have been utterly kind of useless under anyone else than Klopp. But Klopp put that team together. That was Klopp's team. The team that did all the stuff. And it's like, oh, were they lucky? Every team in football, if you go into a World Cup, if you go into a Champions League, the number of teams, an FA Cup, there's hundreds of teams. The chances of winning any competition, luck needs to go your way. Along the way, you will need luck to go your way. Otherwise, something's going to happen. You're going to get knocked out or whatever. Yeah, all teams have luck. It doesn't mean they are lucky. There's a difference between having luck and being lucky.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that completely. There's you could be good and have and get a bit of luck, like as in, but to be lucky means that you're to be completely lucky. The way he was framing it was like, oh, they're just lucky to have gotten these results. They've been lucky that the opposition has kind of gifted them these types of results. And I'm like, that's
Gary Player, right? Gary Player, one of the greatest golfers of all time. Gary Player, South African golfer going back in the day. His quote: "The more I practice, the luckier I get." It's just luck will come. It's part of sport.
Yeah.
But what he's saying is, the better he gets at the game, the luckier he gets, because those little things, when they do go his way, he wins, but he doesn't win off one lucky bounce on the 5th tee, off one, not going into the water on the 17th. He doesn't win because of that. He wins because he was really good on the other 18, on the other 16, 17 holes. Yeah, he did get that one bit of luck, but you actually have to be brilliant for that
For
bounce
that to
to go
actually
your
happen.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for it
Yeah.
to win you something when it goes your way. You know,
Yeah.
everyone that
Yeah.
like, you'll get bad golfers out there that will get a lucky bounce and they won't win anything.
Right.
But they all get lucky bounces. They all get bad bounces.
Yeah.
So
I have
that guy just sounds like a bitter Arsenal fan to me.
a bit of an Arsenal fan, to say the least. I'd
No,
say
a bitter
a bitter.
Arsenal.
Yeah. Oh, yes, a bitter one too. Certainly, they are out there. They are out there. I'll do a little bit more investigating to find out who that guy is for you guys out there, so you can. He's prepared. He said he's prepared. He said he's prepared for the backlash of his comment there. But there's an interesting thing. So we do have. I do have an interesting new. I'm trying to think of how to like even frame it. There's a new. There's been a new interpretation of the offside rule that's been being put out there, or it's been actually been used in the trial so far. It's like this will be the third year of the offside trial, and IFAB has approved further trials of this rule. So it might be something that we might see possibly coming up. I don't necessarily know if it's going to be next year or maybe the year after, but we might be seeing this. This is the new interpretation of the offsides that they're trying out. They're trying it where it would be not that you're in front of you have to have clear space basically in front of you, clear space between you and the defender would be offside, so that you can actually see space between whoever is the attacker and the defender. A lot of this was getting a lot of buzz on Twitter because a lot of people were taking it with our own number 9, who was offsides quite a bit in that previous game, and how a lot of his runs and a lot of his approaches towards the trying to put pressure on that back line would have been resulting in him being onside with this interpretation. Do you think this is a good?
Do they want to give him those goals now too? Do they?
What's that?
Do they want to give him those goals now? Do they?
No. That's not. We're not going that far. We're not. And it's not that far. It's not that far. No, that's not the take. More so, they do. A lot of people have been like buzzing about the fact of like, oh, he's going to be a Golden Boot candidate next year, and he'll be running in for the Ballon d'Or and all those other things, such simply from the amount of goals that he'll probably end up like getting opportunities to score. They're not necessarily taking into account that everyone else gets to apply this rule too. So it's not just him that gets to apply this rule.
Finish the chances.
Right, exactly. Still got to finish the chances as well.
But it's daylight. It's what I've always wanted. And by daylight, I mean you can see daylight between two players. He's off.
Mm-hmm.
So even like any part of the player, like what they're kind of showing there, what is like his hand, so his knee, there's daylight between his knee,
right,
and the foot, so the head as well, I suppose. And I don't know how they divided the width of that line, by the way, but they're drawing a point to point, I suppose. But if his head and his knee are ahead of his hands, then you might have a different thing. But it's always been the way I preferred it. Like offsides were getting ridiculous to the point like where you've got two guys, and to all intents and purposes, they're standing exactly the same spot, on a line, but because half a foot,
because his elbow was out, or because
his toe, half his boot, this kind of stuff that like just that's not like. I heard it. Someone said it really a lot better than I did last week. They're saying we wanted us like offside had to come in because offside just. I mean, if there was no offside, the game was just stupid. People were just standing up on the penalty, goal hanging, waiting for a long ball down. But this isn't what we wanted with offside. So we didn't want offside to show us that he was actually offside by a millimeter. You know, you just want offside, a guy to be clearly offside. And by
Yeah.
clearly, that bottom one, you know, it will favor attackers. It will favor last shoulder number 9s, guys who want to play on the line, guys who want to play on the
Right.
shoulder of the last defender. You know,
Right.
it will favor these guys running in behind, and it will lead to more goals. Hopefully,
I think so. Yeah.
that's what we want to see in
And that's
football.
what they want to see too. Is they want to see more goals. They want to see more excitement like that, that happening. So I don't know if you guys were aware of this new rule that they've had in effect, been using in trials for the last 2 years. This will be now the 3rd year coming up, and you know if you guys like were excited about this, or if you think it's going to make it easier for the referees, you know, to actually make calls or actually put the flag up when they necessarily should be putting the flag up, because you can actually, you know, you wouldn't necessarily have to. You could pretty much see daylight for the most part for the things, but let's see. Alexander is saying this decision will make the ref never put out the flag. Yeah, it quite possibly would. Certainly. And then Dustin says maybe just bring back the one line thing. If it's not clear and obvious, give advantage to the attacker. Okay. Could be.
You're always supposed to, like offside was. This was one of those things where, again, where we talk about like refs having to make not a decision, but, you know, kind of before computers, when they're bringing it offside, before VAR, before all that, they were always told, look, you know, of course, the game is, you're only a human with 2 eyes trying to look. You're trying to look at where the offside player potentially is and where the player who's playing the ball is at the same time. You're trying to look at two things at the same time. It could be 50 yards apart. You can't do that unless you've got 4 sets of eyes, right? So asking a linesman to be able to know where 2 people were at the exact same time at different areas of the pitch. So linesmen tended to do a pretty good job when you actually think about it like that. But they were always told, like, if it's not, you know, always favor the attack. You know, if you can't tell, it's just if you can't tell, then it's obviously really tight. Then just favor the attacker. So that's what we want, is the rules like that, not to make it like, you know, give us an unfair advantage to an attacker, but in those tiny little marginal calls to favor the attacker, because you don't want something like that always getting pulled back, and every you look back at it, you see, that would have been a perfectly good goal. You know, I wouldn't have minded if that was scored against us. That was only offside by a millimeter, because I don't want to get one call like that against us. So those tiny little things, you want them to go back to favouring attacking football and scoring goals.
Do you? Dustin has a good question in the chat. Please answer. You can answer. Put an answer in there too. How do you think our back line will cope with this new rule, and will we continue to play a high line? Basically, I think he's saying. You know, will it affect us playing a high line? It's a very good question. It's a very good question. Because I know that we do. There was a point when we utilized the offside calls very much, or with the emergence of VAR being utilized the way that they were, and especially in the very beginning of VAR, when the line wasn't as it wasn't as a thick of a line, you know, as they use today. They've actually increased the width of the line that they use somewhat, and utilize utilize that as like giving a little bit of an advantage towards the attacker in interpretation. But it is a good question. It's like, do you think it's going to affect the way that we you know, utilize our defense?
Yeah, it is a good question. It's one for the new manager as well. You know, they all have to deal with these things. This is the elite level stuff, like how to time an offside trap, how to not get caught. Like I've said it, you know, I know going back to the day, some of them were kind of the great teams were built on it, but a fast, quick team and a fast, quick player should be able to beat that offside trap. You know, so it's kind of it's a real risk reward thing. Yeah, I think a lot of, like, you're right. Like Klopp said, he didn't say that. He kind of said out loud afterwards when everyone realized. But he was just saying, look, push up, push up. Don't worry about getting beaten in behind, because if you do it right, they're all get called off.
Right. Right.
He gambled on VAR getting it right, and that's what happened. And there's that infamous, and I call it infamous, episode of Match of the Day where we won a game. I think we won a game, and we were playing this high line, this crazy high line, apparently, for the first time about 2 years ago. It must be about 2 years ago now. And everyone was saying, "Oh, it's suicide! Look what they're doing." They kept getting beaten in behind, and the flag kept going. The flag kept going up and up and up and up, and then VAR would call. There was a couple of goals, went to VAR. VAR called them offside, and it worked perfectly in the game. It looked like it was a mess because teams kept trying to run in behind us, but they kept getting flagged offside. And Jermaine Genius went on Match of the Day and did a whole piece on Liverpool's highline, talk about what a bad idea it was, how badly we were using it, how it was going to cost us, how it was going to affect us. And he used two examples of how it was going to affect us that were offside goals.
Yeah.
And that was a perfect example of actually, Jim Rain, how it works. Because guess what? They were offside. If they keep playing like this, they keep playing like this. Look, they're going to concede goals like this. What, you mean that one that was offside? And then that other one that you just showed that was offside? And he kept showing offside chances to show that our high line wasn't working. And he was basically just proving himself wrong. It's like, yeah, every time it did work. But it is a real high wire act, and you have to have top people doing it, and they have to be drilled into them. To play at those fine margins like that, yeah, it will. It will affect us because we'll lose out more, but we'll also gain more. You know, because we've gotten calls against us this season that were really like, yeah, they were laser tight offside calls. So they might go against us next year, but we'll also get it at the other end, where those will now be onside, whereas it would have been offside last year.
We've got some good heads in the chat here. I have a some fun little not questions, but little things to bring up. One is that, you know, this will now be the Mohamed Salah has just become the first ever player to score 20 goals in 7 consecutive seasons as a Liverpool player. Kudos and bravo to Mo Salah for that accomplishment. It's a crazy, crazy accomplishment. It got me to thinking also, there was a take on that I actually put, I didn't post it, but I actually responded to it, and it got a lot of action and such. And this was something that I thought was kind of a cool question, actually. Who would you take in by bringing in? It says the question is, if you could take one and put them in our current team, is it prime? And that's the key word, prime. Okay, not keep that in mind. Prime Torres or prime Suarez. Which player are you putting into this team? Would you put prime Torres or would you put prime Suarez? Just in the chat, you can just say either Torres or Suarez as your answer. I wanted to see if I can get like kind of a read on like, you know, which player we would put in there. Dustin says, man broke Ian Rush's record for goals and assists in one season, his first season. No, that is king. That is fitting for a king. Interesting. Okay. So Dustin has Suarez as being his choice. Who would you put, Brian? If you could go prime Suarez or prime Torres in this particular team, okay, you're bringing them for this particular team.
We spoke about it on Beige and Reds the other night. You were there, I was there, and I said, and someone else was there, and there was actually a different conversation, but it was the same two strikers. And I said that even though Fernando Torres is one of my favorite players, that, and not as far as isn't, but like I said that if from the start, if this team had Suarez in it, and I know we're talking about this season, but if we'd had Suarez in his prime instead of maybe a Bobby Firmino, and it's not a Bobby, but whoever it is, right? We would have won maybe. I said at least 2 more major trophies. If
Say that one more
this,
time.
if
Say
that
that one more time. You broke up a little bit. Say that one more time.
2 more, I said we would have had 2 more.
2 more
Like if
trophies. Okay.
yeah, if Klopp had prime Suarez for 5 years, I think this Liverpool team would have probably 1 more Premier League title and maybe another Champions League. But in this
Ooh, okay.
current team right now, playing the Darwin Núñez role, I Mike, even though Suarez, yeah, it's horrible, but I think actually if to play the Darwin Núñez role, I think I'd probably take Torres over Suarez. But prime Suarez into say the Jurgen Klopp team of the last say 5 years, I would have put Suarez into it, even though Torres is my guy, as the kids say. But I think Klopp would have just loved him so much. Not that the other one, but right now I think as a swap for Núñez, like for like, I might take Torres. I just might take him.
Yeah, I personally, Torres is one of my favorite players of all time. So, or for as a Liverpool player at least. So yeah, it'd be tough for me to say Suarez for a couple different reasons, but I mean, just with football specific reasons. Suarez, Torres, both incredible players in their prime, especially. But yeah, if you're talking, everyone was like, we're all lamenting over, or some have been really critical of Núñez because of his misses and everything else. You can say that Torres was clinical, though. You can say that, or he was a clinical striker. I mean, I think Suarez and Torres are both clinical, but I mean, it's just you talk about someone having the pace and having, the pure ball dribbling skills that he has. Suarez and Torres are both incredible, but I have to lean towards Torres, But but the chat undeniably had Suarez being the choice for everyone.
Tom was saying it in the
Tom was the
chat,
only person, along with me, that picked Torres. Yeah.
but he was saying Alonso, and I picked Torres as well. Don't forget it immediately.
Oh, I thought you said Suarez. I'm sorry. Okay.
What did you think?
I thought you originally said Suarez. My fault. I thought you were saying Suarez.
No, did you? I was saying the whole thing was that
But I know that you said for swap. I heard the very last part.
Yeah. No, yeah, you were saying right now that you're like I was saying Suarez back then, but in this, that's my whole lead up. That's what I was saying. But
maybe when you said but, it might have been broken up. Some of what you were saying was a little bit broken up. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was said to Tar. Yeah, okay, quickly, I said earlier, we said it last week, right? Who would you go for on the Bayesian Reds? And I was saying, as much as he's my favorite player, I would have had to go with Suarez over the 5 years. That's what I was saying. We'd have 2 more trophies, right?
Yeah.
If Suarez is in the Klopp era team, right,
right,
we would have 2 more trophies probably. But if you were to ask me, who would you swap into this Liverpool side right now as a Darwin Núñez replacement? I would go towards Fernando Torres because he is much more of a Núñez type player. Whereas Suarez would obviously be, it's not like you can only have one of them. But if we're talking long term Suarez, short term in this side, Torres to replace Núñez as the most kind of thing. But Tom Bowden was just saying earlier about Alonso. That was the original question: was would I take prime Alonso and Torres into this Liverpool team, the Klopp Liverpool team, or prime Gerrard and Suarez? And I said that even though basically Xabi Alonso and Fernando Torres are probably two of my top three all-time favorite players, I think that with Suarez and Gerrard in this Liverpool team, the attitude that they had, not just their ability, but the intensity that they had as players, the attitude that they had, the mentality that they had, would have pushed us to a completely different level. As good as Alonso and Torres were as a partnership, but yeah, to have someone like Klopp with a Suarez, it's, you can't win them all, but he would have been nearly the perfect Klopp player, almost the perfect Klopp player.
Yeah,
I think, just his work rate, his energy, non-stop tenacity, just fight and will to win. Didn't even have to, he didn't even have to G it up. He just came with it. He came ready to go.
Ready to fight. Yeah, for sure.
All the ability in the world. I mean, definitely, I'd say one more league and another Champions League if we had Suarez.
Yeah, came ready to fight and ready to bite. But
yeah.
But anyway. Yeah, I saw that in there. I saw Alexander said they're both a wrong option. I'd like to know what he means by that.
But they're the only option. We're the Anfield buzz, or that Anfield buzz has given us two options.
Yeah,
pick one.
Yeah. Speaking of options, these are some of the options that are going to be used for the international break. What's very interesting about this is that, as you can see on here, quite a few under 21, under 20, under 18 choices that are being selected from our youth. That's so promising to see. A lot of really good players as well being chosen for England to be on there. Curtis Jones would have been a face on here, obviously, but he's still injured, so it's one of the reasons why he's not on there. What's very interesting too is that Harvey Elliott, who's had a really exceptional year, I think this year, hasn't gotten a call up to the big squad, as you want to put it, but they ended up choosing Kobe Manu. How do you pronounce his name?
Manu,
right? Okay. Yeah. So yeah, they very interesting because he just got his first call up to the senior squad. Interesting to hear that, because I wouldn't have said, if you're looking at this list here, I don't think that, and looking at just the selections for England for NS under 21 and under 20s as well, I think that there are some players on there that I would have selected possibly before putting Manu into that selection. As for Southgate, I don't know if he has a bias or a preference. It's very interesting because it seems like quite often when it comes to selections, he tends to not pick Liverpool players, or he tends to, even if he does pick them, he doesn't necessarily put them in roles that they'll be able to actually play for Team England. Needless to say, right now I don't really care that some of these guys aren't playing or wouldn't be playing for England, because I don't want any of these guys going on international break and playing at all, to be honest with you. But it was an interesting selection of players there, to say the least. Do you have a problem, or not a problem, but were you surprised at seeing that selection by Southgate with the Manu selection?
No, he's just having a look at the kid. He's just having a look at him. It's friendlies. Call him up, put him in the squad so he can watch him for a week or 2 weeks. I don't really the only one he didn't really call up that I thought that should have been playing, really. He picked Jordan Henderson when he went to Saudi.
Mm-hmm.
He picked Jordan Henderson, even though he picked Jordan Henderson no matter what. So he always picked him.
Mhm.
Gomez wasn't getting games for us. England always have tons of starting defenders. Like England always have loads of defenders, so that's why I knew Joey would never get picked. So that was fine.
Mhm.
The only one he didn't really pick was Trent, that I can think of. That I would have thought we had an England start player. I
Mhm.
mean, Milner, like really, our only real England players were Trent. Like Henderson was captain and he went in and did so. The only good one was Trent. I think that's why people kind of seem to think that they didn't really like Liverpool players. Just Trent. We don't have that many England players, like top ones, and I don't want them. I don't want to sign an England player. I'm the same as you. I don't
Mhm.
want them going out there.
Mhm.
So that's why I never want to sign a Harry Kane or a Jack Grealish or someone like that. Someone who is just as famous for being an England player
Mhm.
as much as he is anyone else's. So
Mhm.
I was always fine with us not having a real but we're Liverpool. We don't have a big England connection. That's just historical.
Mhm.
So let them go off and do, like, he called up Joe Gomez. Was happy to like Joe Go. If it means a lot to Joe Gomez to play for England, then I'm delighted for him. If he's not
Mhm.
that fussed, then I'd rather he did just stayed at home. But like
Mhm.
I don't. Someone can explain to me, like, I don't know why we have an under 21s and then an under 20s. Like, it used to go to under 21, under 18. Now you have under 23s as well. I mean, if you're
Yeah.
20,
Yeah. Yep.
22 and you're still not getting into I don't know. But Harvey, I think it's weird he's still getting called up for under 21s. We don't need that shit. We really
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
that. Like, obviously he's young enough. He's too senior to be going that kind of stuff. Bring through some younger kids or something. I'm happy that all the who am I seeing? I'm looking at Jaden Dan's under 20, Kwanzaa under 21, Neoni, is that under 18? Third
That
from the
is.
left on the
Yes.
bottom.
That is. That is.
Who's the guy? Who's the guy beside that?
Nalo is the under 18 that you're thinking of too.
Yeah, I can't see, it's hidden behind the comments on I can just see the other.
Oh, okay. Let me pull. I'll pull down the comment real quick. I'm going to bring that back up because I see Rasta Crab wanted to say bless up to you, Brian. He's saying
Hey,
big up to
Rasta.
us as well. Says I need to hear some positivity because he's still hurting from that United game. Oh, I know, brother. Oh, I know. We all are definitely. Yeah. So I can make it a little bit bigger for you here. So yeah, that's Kumas on the bottom right, and Dan's, that's
Oh, yeah.
Nalo, and then Kai Gordon, and then Kwanzaa, and then as you said, Trey Neoni, Elliott, Clark,
Oh, good.
and then the obvious senior players that are leaving. What was very, very noticeable too, though, is that does it make you a little bit like, I wouldn't say angry, but I'm kind of like, lack of a better word, maybe angry that Kanate is going, that Ibu is actually going to play for France. He's got to call up and he's going to be playing for France. It's interesting that he is too.
Yeah, disappointing. I didn't really, I didn't spot that actually. Now that you said it, that's
Yeah.
I would have thought we were, because I heard someone else pulled out today. Someone else pulled out of the squad today. One of our boys. I heard they
Okay.
pulled out. I can't remember who it is. Oh, Nunez.
Nunez did. Yes, he did. Nunez
Yeah,
is not.
pulled
Nunez
out.
is not going to be participating in the finals.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So they're saying, but they expect him to be fine, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would have expected the same thing for Canade, but
I don't know about Diaz too. Diaz was questionable. Cody was also questionable on going. But other than that, I think everyone else was already okay to go. But Roster Crab says Lucha looks fine with Colombia. Yeah. I just thought that was interesting that Kanate was able to, that he's able to play for these friendlies, but you know that he wasn't able to participate with us for a game that we could have used him for sure. We certainly could have used him in that game, because I think that that United definitely took advantage of our right side of that pitch a little bit more so than not. Unfortunately, with Gomez and Kwanzaa on that side. Let's see. Alexander's saying that he does see the Naby vibes that fans were saying about Sabasalai, about him being available before internationals. Okay, yeah. And he says, I don't know. He says that Justin says he thought Kumas is English. I don't think. I mean, he's playing for the U21s for Wales, so I can double check that for you. But let's see. This was speaking of internationals. This is like, despite the fact that I don't necessarily want to see VVD playing in the internationals, international play. This is a kind of cool sight to see. This is Ginny and VVD for international call-ups. Reunited. It was kind of cool to see. Definitely cool to see. And also something that was kind of interesting to see, and this is off Liverpool topic at least, and that is, according to Mail Sport, Sir Jim Ratcliffe makes Gareth Southgate the number one choice to replace Erik ten Hag at Manchester United. What would you think of if United gets Southgate as their coach? Do you think that would be a upgrade, or would that be a downgrade? Please, in the chat, tell me, would it be an upgrade or a downgrade from Erik ten Hag? Because a lot of people are saying Erik ten Hag possibly saved his coaching position with Manchester United. But apparently, according to Mail Sport again, is that this is Sir Jim Ratcliffe's number one choice to replace him. Rasta Crab says he would love to see Southgate. Tom is saying United fans will tear down the stadium if they hear Southgate. I'm gonna find that out for you, Dustin, about Kumas. Just give me 1 second. Let's see. There is some good chance. There is some good choices for us. That is some good choice for us. That'd be a great choice, I think, for us. They said, Rasta says they are on par with each other, both clueless. Like, I would love to see that, to be honest with you. I would kind of love to see that. I don't know about yourself. Would you think?
What was that? What they're talking about? Oh, that's. I think he's done. He's done after what you call it? What is it? Germany, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's Germany. Mm-hmm. Yeah. After that, he's finished. He's leaving. So there will be kind of stories about him, but any club that hires him is absolutely insane. The guy is Jesus.
Don't hold anything back.
No, what would you think if you found out we were looking at?
If we were looking at Southgate as our number one choice,
if we found
I'd be up in arms about it. I'd be up in arms about
exactly.
it.
Well, the guy is.
I mean, our circumstances and United circumstances are a little bit different.
But any club, Any club at the top.
Right.
Any club at the top. It's the guy has done nothing in club football.
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy who's probably going to get. He will get another job. He'll get some kind of job somewhere, but God no. Yeah, that is. I don't know where. I think that's because he's English. Jim Radcliffe is English. They think they're all going to get rid of Ten Hag, but there's an awful lot of clubs this summer that are going to be looking for new managers. And Jesus, Ireland. No, I wouldn't even take. No, Tom, I wouldn't even take him for Ireland. You're right, man. I wouldn't even take him for the Ireland job.
Wow.
But Dustin was asking there, do you not remember Jason Kumas? Jason Kumas is Welsh. That's why Kumas plays for Wales. His dad is a very well-known player.
Yeah.
Jason Kumas. And he played for Wales and he played for fucking multiple. I'm have to go blank. His main Wigan. Wigan was when he was at his best. He was a great kind of attacking midfielder. One of those kind of almost too good for, or not good enough for the Premier League, but too good for the Championship type players. But good for Wales.
Like, in that purgatory, kind
of like a I don't want to use the term B-Tech, but it kind of like a lower type of a Gerrard, like a midfielder that could score spectacular goals. He could make like great technique, great long shots. West Bromwich Albion played for them as well. He played for a lot of clubs, but kind of, it was Wigan where he kind of showed his best. He moved around a bit, but he's got football and pedigree. That like the two of the, like Lee Clark and Jason Kumas.
Sorry, Rasta Grab saying Southgate is a Burnley type manager. I'm sorry, that's fine.
Well, he did Middlesbrough. He had Middlesbrough. That's Middlesbrough when they're in the Premier League, right? That kind of 18th, 19th type of Middlesbrough. Not when they're in. That's what he is.
This is interesting.
Really like it's just that's the England manager. Back in the day, see, the England manager's job has gotten so twisted around. Back in the day, it used to be the biggest job in England because it paid the most. Basically, if you're English manager, it was the biggest job, and then the Premier League came along and kind of. But now it's gotten to the point where England can't get the best managers. The best managers are in club football, and they have no intention of going to England until it's some kind of a retirement scenario. Like there's been
some rumors, or at least some clamor to bring in Mourinho. Actually, that was especially once he left Roma, there was clamor to bring him in as a possible England selection. I'm just saying what was like a trending something that was trending out there on the socials.
You just need like someone that's done a lot and they're 65 and they're prepared to give up club management, but they don't want to give up management. That's all you need for an international manager. Yeah. Like his trajectory from England to his next club will be like he's more likely to take on some kind of going upstairs role, like director of football for England. Or go and be a director of football at a club, then actually go, like, no serious team will hire him as a manager.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know about. Hey, I'm all for it. To be honest with you, I'm all for Southgate being the next Manchester United coach. I think that's a great selection for them because of for obvious bias reasons.
Yeah.
So that's the selection they want to make. That's the direction they want to take. Hey, more power to you.
Do you think Ten Hag is going to be there next year?
That's if he wins the FA Cup, I think there's a high likelihood that that could save his job. But if he's to lose to his next round opponent, that could be. I don't know. Do you think that that could be the final nail in his coffin if he were to lose to his next round opponent?
I think he gets the season.
Yeah. Meaning, I don't think they'll fire him
Yeah.
after that game. No,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
mean
yeah.
like that. I mean like
Yeah,
as in
yeah.
that would be
Yeah.
them saying, okay, let's get serious about looking for a new manager for this club, because like as in, you know, all well and good that he, you know, he beat the rivals, but you know, that was it was at Old Trafford, you know. I think that game at Anfield doesn't go that direction, but also like the sheer fact that that was us at our lowest point, one of our lowest points, and then to have that next opponent be basically, you know, obviously a championship team, but also be an opponent that everyone should see them being able to get by. They lose to them, you know, that'll be something. There is something I wanted to, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, unless he was to pull a miracle and get fourth.
Yeah.
They're
still in the hunt for that. I will acknowledge that. They're still technically in the hunt for that. Right now, let's see.
If he gets in Champions League, he could be okay. Regardless.
There's 6 points. They're 6 points away from fifth, and they are.
And don't forget, it could be enough.
9 points away from fourth place.
Fifth, with the way the English teams are progressing, and with the way that the other countries' teams are getting knocked out, it's highly likely that fifth spot will go to England next season. So fifth place could actually be enough for Champions League this year. So if they were to get beaten by Man City, full strength Man City in a cup final, you know, and they finished fourth and got Champions League, or finished fifth and got Champions League, I think he'd be okay. But if they were to finish outside of Champions League and get knocked out by Coventry or lose to Chelsea in the FA Cup final,
so
I think he'll get to the end of the year. But they'll make the decision that he'll get to do what he does. You know what I'm saying? Whatever happens, he'll get to do it, and then he'll get judged on it. They won't pull the trigger between now and the end of the season, I don't, because there's nobody out there. Nobody out there. And look, we said like Barcelona, PSG, Liverpool, Bayern Munich, potentially someone like an Inter Milan or something like that, all looking for managers in the summer.
Right.
All be looking for new managers in the summer.
Yeah.
So
there's some. Yeah, go ahead.
No, so it's a busy market. It's
a busy market for managers. Yeah, it's gonna be a busy market for managers. And there's gonna be some head scratchers, and there's gonna be some like, oh wow, you know, type selection, I'm sure, that are gonna be made over the summer. There are some interesting points too. And make sure I include these last couple of takes here. But it was just mentioned about, Tom mentioned this about, actually, he says, with Forest 4-point deduction, who does that loss to Bournemouth? How does that loss to Bournemouth feel to Luton now? It's a good question. Very good question. I mean, Forest now is going to be deducted 4 points for their infraction. It looks like Chelsea is going to be facing FFP point deductions as well. That should be interesting. I don't think if it does apply for them this season, then I don't think it's going to be so much that they're going to be, you know, facing relegation or something like that, you know. But that would be a great day if that happened. But yeah, there was a question here about genuine question. Unless Coventry win the FA Cup, is there a lesser evil for us who wins it? If you were tearing, like, if you're tearing who you we don't want to see any of the teams win, obviously, pretty much, other than us winning it. That's obvious. But if you had a tier who you could see winning or could tolerate see winning the FA Cup, what would the tier list be?
It would be City, Chelsea, Man United. It would be City I could tolerate the most
Oh, wow.
because their trophies are basically irrelevant. They don't
Mm-hmm.
matter. Don't care. It's fake. It's plastic.
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea, I could take that more. Yeah, I take that less than City because I hate Chelsea a lot more than I hate City.
Mm-hmm.
And but Chelsea is second because I'd rather anyone win a trophy than Man United, so they have to come bottom, which is why Chelsea second.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the last team I want to see because we're the ones going to go with Man United at the moment, for titles and trophies and all that. That's pretty close at the moment. So I don't want to see them win any. I don't want them going anywhere near a trophy. And like I said, with Man City, I can just put it in a box and go, oh well, that's just another fake Man City plastic trophy victory. Doesn't matter. It's irrelevant to world football. And in 10 years' time, when eventually their court case does come out and Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp are 75 years old and sitting in the park talking to each other and going, oh, I see that court case is coming out tomorrow. Been a while, hasn't it? Say, yeah. Because that's how long it's going to take. But eventually it will come out. It's harder to take Man United. I don't want Man United having any success or any kind.
I get that Coventry isn't exactly isn't a likelihood to get through the next round. It's not a likelihood that they would even get to the finals and win the final. But I honestly am rooting for them out of all the teams that are left. That's the one team that I would like to see as my top pick.
But like Dustin saying, unless if take Coventry out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he's saying. Like,
yeah. Oh, I get that. No, I was just going to finish and say by saying like, yeah, I would love to see them be the top choice, but certainly in that next slot would be, unfortunately, I would say City too. And I know that there's a push. The reason why I asked that is because there's a pushback when Liverpool fans say City, there's pushback by United fans. There's pushback by, even I've heard even some Chelsea fans say it. But to say that, like, if there's a rivalry between them, like, why wouldn't they be lower on the list if that is who you look at as being your rival, or look at as being the team that you've been competing with in this era of Klopp versus Pep? Then certainly you would say them last, even though Manchester United is your historical rival.
Yeah, because they don't get it. Well, then they don't get it. It's who you hate more.
Right.
That's all it is. Who you hate more, and you can't hate something you don't care about. You don't care about that.
That's a good point.
You don't care about. If you're asking Liverpool fans, who do you not want to win? Do you want Chelsea, Manchester United, Manchester United?
Yeah.
Man United first. Always Man United first. That's it. And then you work out how much you hate the other people left afterwards.
Yeah, then it's a different story. Yeah,
it's always ABU, anyone but United, and you sort out the rest of them afterwards. But Chelsea are so hateable that, like we we're saying, when you talking earlier on, the one club that I'm not surprised is booing their own players. Chelsea.
Yeah, that's what they were doing. They were booing. They're booing their own player, and they're also they're actively calling out their coach too.
That's how you win.
They were doing the chant. They were doing a chant of "You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing," or something along those lines. They were chanting that out when Poch made his selection. When he made his substitute selection, and also. There is one other thing I was going to bring up. and that is there's so this so for the actual final, for the Europa final, they've now that the Rangers are no longer, in that, like, got to find a new place to possibly host this final, and it has been solidified that it is going to be at the stadium in Dublin. The stadium holds 52,000 people. There will be 13,000 tickets that are going to be allotted towards the away team and the home team, or however you want to look at it, but for both sides, there's going to be 13,000 tickets that are going to be allotted. That ends up being 26,000 tickets being allotted to actual team supporting fans, and that means also there's going to be 26,000 tickets that are open to the general public. Do you think that they have this right, or do you think that they should have allowed for more tickets to be, like, as in have a little bit better allotment towards it, rather than have it one quarter? Because that ends up being about one quarter of the tickets being given to Liverpool. If Liverpool make it to the final, of course, that would be one quarter of the tickets going to Reds, and then another quarter ticket going to whoever our opponent would be if we do make it to the final. And then, a lot of those tickets obviously being allotted towards corporate sponsors and all the different UEFA and FIFA officials and everything else, and all the little things. Do you think it should have been more of, like, maybe 1/3, let's say, 1/3 of the crowd could be that case, rather than one quarter, or maybe even a larger allotment than that? Maybe have it where it's like 20,000. You make it 20,000 tickets can be sold towards Liverpool attendees, and 20,000 for wherever the opponent is, and then have 12,000 be divvied up between the general public. Is that a little bit better, or how do you look at it?
Well, what do you think? Would you prefer that? Like,
I
don't
prefer
know.
I prefer bigger. Obviously, I like it when it, like, I would like for it to look more like it does at. I would like for it to look more like it does at Wembley, for instance, for the finals that we've seen at Wembley, for instance, where it's like, if it's Chelsea versus Liverpool, it's like pretty much the entire crowd is almost like 80, if not 85% red versus blue, and then you have just that little strip in the middle being the corporate seats, pretty much, and that's it. Like, I personally wouldn't mind. I get that you're going to have the corporate seats. I get that you're going to have all those kind of tickets being, divvied up between the general public as well. But that's how I would look at it. I like it when you have more of, like, the actual fans of the club there, as opposed to just like, corporate hookups.
Well, what will happen is all of those public tickets, in inverted commas, will become fan tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's very few members of the public that will just go and hop along to that game. It's such an effort to go to that game. It'll cost such an amount of money to go to that game that there won't be any casual fans just going out and getting a ticket. So all those publicly available tickets will basically be taken up by the fans. Now, that's not to get into all of the touts and all of the tickets that will be resold.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. But this is a UEFA final. This is what comes up in every single conversation, but every single final at every single competition. It's like, did you see how many seats we got? Did you see how many tickets the fans got? Did you see how many tickets the fans got? It's always like, oh, can we just give 11? Like, it's a 90,000 seater stadium. Oh, can we give them 10,000 each? They don't want to give those. They want to sell. Oh, this is UEFA, man. This is like, they go where the money is. So they're lucky to probably get 15% allocated tickets, because the rest of them are all sold at a huge, huge profit. It's it's like but like I said, there's not going to be anyone sitting there that just goes for a day out. All those public tickets are going to end up in the hands of fans or whatever. But it's just, it's where the money comes from. These corporate tickets, all these sponsors and guests, and the smaller the venue is, they don't reduce the amount of guests and sponsors. They just reduce the amount of fans. So I'd imagine it will be pretty much like this is Ireland. These football matches, you don't realize how shady people are. Like it don't get run properly here. Like it's not outright corruption or anything, but Ireland is like, here, I'll get you a few tickets and get you a few tickets. It's all like, oh, can you get us a few tickets? Most of these things are getting eaten up by people that, run associations and stuff. That's how they get their backhand. So you will get a large amount, I would imagine. Like we're assuming that we're going to be there, by the way.
Yeah. I said, if we do. I didn't say we're guaranteed to.
But it will be red. It will be. You'll get our section, and then I'd say half of the public tickets would probably end up being Liverpool fans. And you might have a mix of, I don't know, like who else would go if that isn't really either a fan of either club that's going to be there. But the other thing with those kind of percentages is it's okay if it's Liverpool in Dublin, but let's just say Carabag got there.
Yeah.
Are you going to get 20,000 Carabag fans that'll just be snapping up on tickets, or 20,000 Steaua Bucharest fans if they were to get there, or something like that?
Well, maybe make it like a sliding scale or something, like as in the same way they make it for like the coefficient. You can make a coefficient on the allocation of tickets. All
I'm thinking on this is that we'll get our fans, and whatever the amount of like public tickets they get out there
will probably get eaten up by
90%. I'd say between 70 and 90% will be
go
Irish
to
Liverpool fans, or Liverpool fans of some description, and then just loads of random people who like going to football, and a few, say, Leverkusen fans, right? But that will be, if we get there, don't worry, you're going to see a red stadium.
Yeah, you'll see a red stadium.
It'll be like a home game for us. Even if we were playing another English team, like other than United, I can't think of anyone. It will be like watching a Liverpool home game, and it will be the atmosphere will be insane, because this will be Irish fans that don't normally get to actually watch us, that have never gotten to see Liverpool play a competitive game in Ireland.
Right.
Not just a competitive game, but an actual European final in Ireland. I mean, they go mad for friendlies or whatever. The atmosphere at this, a real game, again, assuming we get there, it'll be off the charts.
It'll be off the charts for sure. Yeah. Yep. Well, I hope that we can get there, obviously. We've gone from 4 to 3. We still got 2 more trophies to try to do our best in locking down. It's going to be an international break, so we're going to have some shows lined up that are going to be fun shows, some tier shows, have a couple quizzes or a quiz here or there involved. We're going to be bringing in certainly some, hoping to bring in some new guests that we're going to conduct an interview or 2 off of. So it should be pretty much, we're working on some really fun things for you guys, so we can keep everything like fresh, keep everything like lively for all of us, so that we can get through this international break where we'll be watching a lot of friendlies and such. Some of us might watch the Japanese matchup to see how well Endo does in that matchup, and then and see if he can get his Japanese team a much needed qualifier win. And is there something that you want to say to the people before we land this plane? Got the landing gear down, ready to touch down?
No, just keep an eye out for everything we're doing over the next couple of weeks because, like Puffman said, we're going to do some different new stuff. Try and keep everyone a little bit entertained over the international break. That isn't the normal YouTube Liverpool stuff.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much. That's enough said. I hope that everyone is well, as I can say, and as I would say, as always, please keep in mind to do the best in maintaining and keeping yourself in good shape, in good health, in good mental health. Take care of yourself. It's very important, and also to do your best to take care of your loved ones out there. As always, it's important that we keep that concept close to heart. It's what we as Reds, I think, should always do with each other, with our family, with our friends. It's important because, life is precious. And, when it comes down to it, we are all we got. So let's just always continue to support each other, and hey, never walk alone. So I will say for that, hey, it's going to be a fun week. And I will see you guys tomorrow. And tomorrow, keep an eye. Please have that on subscribe. Please make sure that the notification bell is set. And be sure to be here tomorrow. If it says, if your clock says 7 p.m., definitely take a look for Liverpool 12 Man Show. I will certainly be glad to see you guys with me and the Live Bird. So I will see you guys soon. All right. Take care, guys.